Welcome back to Learn English Easily. I'm Emma, and as always, I'm here with James. Today's topic is something that many English learners find difficult: how to disagree politely in English.
Hi, everyone. I'm James. You're right, Emma. Disagreeing in English can be tricky. You don't want to sound rude or too direct, especially in professional or formal situations. But at the same time, you want to express your opinion honestly.
Exactly. In English, being polite when disagreeing is really important. The goal isn't to argue, it's to share your point of view respectfully.
And that's what we'll help our listeners with today. We'll show you useful phrases, sentence structures, and examples of polite disagreements for both casual and professional conversations.
Sounds great. So let's start by talking about why being polite matters when you disagree.
Well, Emma, in English-speaking cultures, communication is often indirect. People don't usually say, "You're wrong." That sounds too harsh. Instead, they use softer language like, "I see what you mean, but," or "I understand your point, however."
Yes, those are perfect examples. Phrases like that make your disagreement sound respectful. They show that you're listening, even if you don't fully agree.
Let's look at a few polite expressions you can use to start a disagreement. Here are some examples. "I see what you mean, but that's a good point, however." "I understand your perspective, but I think you might be right, but I feel that's interesting, though I'm not sure I completely agree."
I love those. And here are a few more for more formal situations. I respectfully disagree. I'm afraid I don't see it the same way. With all due respect, I have a different opinion. I understand your argument, but may I offer another perspective?
Those sound polite, professional, and calm.
Exactly. The key is tone. You can say the same words in a rude or polite way depending on how you sound.
That's right. You should always keep your tone calm and your body language open. Smile slightly, nod, and make eye contact.
Let's practice a quick example. I think working from home makes people less productive.
I see your point, Emma, but I actually think it depends on the person. Some people work better without distractions.
Perfect. Notice how James didn't just say, "You're wrong." He acknowledged my opinion and then shared his own. That's the secret to polite disagreement.
Exactly. You show respect first, then express your view.
Let's talk about phrases for partial agreement, when you agree with part of what someone says, but not everything.
That's a good one, Emma. You can say, "I agree with you to some extent, but," or "That's true, although I think I agree with part of what you said. You're right about that, but I'd also add."
And in casual conversation, you can say things like, "Yeah, I get that, but I see where you're coming from. I know what you mean, though I see it a bit differently."
Great. Those are perfect for friendly discussions. For example, between classmates, friends, or colleagues.
Let's act out a short dialogue to show what that sounds like. I think watching TV shows is a waste of time.
I know what you mean, Emma. Some shows are not great, but others can actually be educational or relaxing.
Exactly. That's polite disagreement. Friendly, natural, and respectful.
Now, Emma, what if someone strongly disagrees with us? How can we respond without sounding defensive?
Great question, James. You can say, "That's an interesting point. I never thought of it that way. You might be right. Let's agree to disagree."
I love that last one. Let's agree to disagree. It's a polite way to end a disagreement when neither person wants to argue.
Yes, it means we have different opinions, and that's okay. It keeps the conversation friendly.
Let's look at some real-life situations where polite disagreement is useful.
Sure. Let's start with the workplace example. I think we should launch the product next week.
That's a good idea, Emma, but I think we might need a bit more testing before we release it.
Nice and polite. You acknowledged my idea first, then shared your concern.
Exactly. That's how you can disagree in meetings without sounding negative.
Now let's do a casual example between friends. I think pineapple on pizza is amazing.
Haha, I know a lot of people love it, Emma, but I'm not a fan. I prefer plain cheese pizza.
That's perfect. You disagreed, but in a light, fun way.
Yes, and humor helps too. When you smile or laugh, the disagreement feels friendly.
Let's share a few phrases to avoid, because some can sound rude in English, even if you don't mean them that way.
Oh, good idea. Avoid phrases like, "You're wrong," "That's not true," or "No, you don't understand." That makes no sense.
Yes, those sound too direct. Instead, you can soften them. For example, instead of saying, "You're wrong," say, "I'm not sure I agree with that."
Or, instead of, "That's not true," say, "I think it might be a bit different."
Perfect. It's all about tone and word choice.
Another tip is to use connecting words like but and however and although. They make your sentence sound smoother.
For example, "That's true, but I think there's another way to look at it." Or, "I agree. However, it depends on the situation."
Those transitions make your disagreement sound polite and professional.
Now, let's share some advanced phrases for polite disagreement that our intermediate listeners can use.
Sure, here are some examples. I take your point, but I'm not entirely convinced. I'm not sure that's always the case. That's one way to look at it, but you raise a valid point, though I see it differently.
Those sound very natural in discussions, meetings, or debates. They make you sound thoughtful and respectful.
Yes, and it's always a good idea to show appreciation for the other person's opinion before you disagree. You can say, "That's a great observation," or "I appreciate your view."
That's true. It shows maturity and politeness.
Let's do one last complete dialogue using several of these phrases.
I think students should not use mobile phones at school at all.
I understand your point, Emma, and I agree that phones can be distracting, but I think they can be useful for learning too, if used responsibly.
That's true, James. Maybe it's about teaching students how to use them properly rather than banning them.
Exactly. So we kind of agree, just with different approaches.
That's a perfect example of polite disagreement. It's calm, balanced, and both people listen to each other.
Yes, and that's how English speakers maintain harmony in conversation, by respecting both sides.
Let's do a quick review for our listeners.
Sure, here's what we learned today. Always start with something positive or neutral. Use polite phrases like, "I see your point," but avoid direct words like, "You're wrong." Use a calm tone and friendly body language. Show respect for other opinions.
Perfect summary, James.
Thanks, Emma. And one final piece of advice. The more you practice these polite disagreement phrases, the more confident you'll sound.
Absolutely. So, next time you want to share your opinion, don't be afraid to disagree. Just do it kindly.
That's all for today's episode of Learn English Easily.
Thank you for joining us. Keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, politeness makes communication stronger.
See you next time, everyone.
Bye for now.